Welcome back, Jen.
Thank you.
Is that over?
I know. What movies did you guys see over break? Anything good? Cam, I know you went to the movies a lot.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing a lot. Let's see, I saw Craven the Hunter, which was not that great, although it wasn't nearly as bad as Morbius and Madam Web were. I think Madam Web was probably the worst of the three. That was probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I have to
Craven
agree.
had a lot of the same issues, but oh, you saw it?
Yeah, I did. Well, I can't say I sat through the entire thing. I tried to watch it. I got
fair enough.
maybe halfway through, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to finish this.
Yeah, it just kept getting more and more ridiculous, and it was me and my friends all watching it, kind of just laughing and making fun of it, so we managed to make it through, but that was awful. Morbius was probably in the middle of those three, and then, Craven was more of just a generic action movie than anything else, although it did have a couple really weird scenes. In fact, you might be able to find one online. The Rhino makes this really strange... The character who's supposed to be Rhino makes this really strange noise that I think they were supposed to fill in a scream for, but they never did, so he just opens his mouth and kind of makes a weird, cackling noise. It's hard to describe, but it's really strange.
That's awesome.
That wasn't that great.
Well, Aaron Taylor Johnson is slightly related to what we're here for today.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
And with that, welcome back, everybody, to Worlds Beyond with Cam and Ron. We are here to talk about Nosferatu, and Jen is back with us. Why don't we get right into it? Cam, you've seen it twice. Jen and I saw it last week, and ready to hear your initial reaction.
I've seen it twice now, so obviously I really loved it. I was just totally enthralled and engaged throughout the whole movie. I thought it was a great adaptation of the original Nosferatu, which is in turn an adaptation of the original Dracula. So I think it's fair for me to say that it's probably one of the best, if not the best, kind of overall adaptations. Obviously, it doesn't stick quite to the book like all of the adaptations kind of go off in their own directions, but this one I felt was the most kind of complete and fully realized from beginning to end. I thought a lot of the times Dracula adaptations can kind of trail off or get a little bit uninteresting towards the end, but I thought this one had a great way of kind of connecting the final scenes to everything else. So, and then just the way it was shot and some of the scares, and obviously the performance of Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok was the standout. That I just thought he was absolutely incredible. The voice and the prosthetics, it was a little bit of a less traditional look for him, which I thought was interesting, but overall just atmospheric and enthralling, and yeah, I loved it.
It's funny that you said that, actually, because when we came back from the movies, I didn't even realize that was Bill Skarsgård until after the fact.
Right, yep.
That's how much he really got into that character.
Yeah, it was crazy, the transformation that he went through. And it was interesting how it wasn't... Everyone expected, I think, after, Salem's Lot and the other remakes there have been of this movie, that it was going to be that, that classic sort of Nosferatu bald, almost gray, almost the head of a gray alien type of Nosferatu, and this was definitely a different take. I was surprised by that. Jen, do you want to go next? Overall thoughts?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I liked it. I didn't love it. Certainly not nearly as much as Cam did, seeing it twice. I felt like it was just so similar to Bram Stoker's Dracula that it didn't give any room for additional adaptation, really, I feel like, except for the character of the Count. Like you said, he was just such a great transformation and kind of a throwback to that, classic Nosferatu, bald head, big ears, creepy long fingernails, which made him more of a beast and less of a man, which I felt like in Bram Stoker's, that was kind of the appeal of the Count, so to speak. You know what I mean? That made him more desirable to the female characters and everything because he was more human. This movie, he was the complete beast.
Yeah.
I mean, disgusting lesions, rotting flesh looking like a zombie, basically.
Yeah.
It was kind of gross.
Right, yep.
It was interesting, yeah, and I thought, similar to the way it's happened in other adaptions, Dracula adaptions, that he would, as he started drinking Thomas's blood, I thought he would start to get younger and more human looking,
right.
but
more attractive.
But I know that a little bit I've read about Robert Eggers, the background on this film was he really wanted to stick to only the written vampire lore and wanted to and divorce himself of all the cinematic tropes and just stick to a lot of the just actual historical vampire lore. So that was interesting. I would say I'm probably somewhere in between the two of you. I really enjoyed it. I was thrown off by some parts of it. Like some parts of it are I almost found campy, I guess I would say. And maybe that was intentional. I'm guessing it might not have been.
What do you have an example? I'm
just some of the things with the Orlok character and some of his appearances were almost so like grotesque and like surprising or whatever that it just almost made me laugh. And like is the end scene when his dead carcass is draped over her, and it was like so preposterous that the two of them could connect that way that I don't know, like it just struck me, like I said, almost as like campy, but that's probably just my reaction. But overall I really enjoyed it. Like the performances were phenomenal, the cinematography from as a layman to that sort of thing, but I thought it looked tremendous. And the way and just the way that the story unfolded, I thought was one of the things. I thought at first I had to go through this and read through. Okay, I know the novel. What are the differences in between the novel and the original adaptation? And then this. One thing I would say is like he talked a lot about how Eggers talked a lot about how much time he spent on this, and I thought it was a really strict, straight. Like I don't know, I haven't seen the movie, but it was a beat for beat adaptation of that plot at least. So
Right.
in that way, I was like I kept saying to myself as we were watching it, I wasn't feeling like I know what's going to happen next. I know what's going to happen next. I know what's going to happen next. And it really, nothing struck me as super new or different. It just struck me as a really, really tremendously well done adaptation that stuck just very close to the story that it was adapting. So like I said, overall I enjoyed it. Didn't blow me away. So I had some really kind of wonky moments, surprising one way or the other, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, part of the reason I liked it is because it was more of a, like, I got the sense that it was less of a romantic connection between them and more of like almost supernatural, like demon, like she was, and I really liked that psychic angle. I don't know if that was in the original movie, but just that she was that kind of almost psychic and almost being possessed in certain scenes, and just her, especially Lily Rose Depp's performance, like writhing around like that was incredible. And I haven't seen much of her, but I don't think she's really been in anything like I've been super interested in seeing. I always thought didn't think much of her one way or the other, but she really surprised me because she was definitely one of the standouts among, I mean, obviously the entire cast was incredible. Well, Nicholas Hoult, I thought it was kind of funny that it almost mirrored, because a part of his role is almost a little bit of what Renfield does in the original Dracula movie. So it was funny to have him have been Renfield in that Nick Cage version of the film, and then him kind of taking on a similar role, although some of that was given to the crazy guy, Herr Canuck, I guess his name was. Who I thought that was one of my favorite parts, his kind of occult ritual and everything. That was really cool.
Yeah, I will.
And then,
go ahead.
Yeah, he did
Willem
a great
Dafoe
performance.
was excellent as well.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe, definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah, I loved his character. I loved his take on that sort of Van Helsing character. I will say I agree with you that there was a much more of this like occult explanation for the backstory of the vampire, and that he was this like demon, and that she was almost this like throwback, and it's actually Willem Dafoe's character that speaks this. She was almost this like throwback, like sort of clairvoyant or whatever you want to call her, that she has almost these sort of mystical powers herself, and that's how she was connected. That's how she was connected to him. And I almost would have liked to hear more about that, because it kind of, they threw a lot of those details at you, but no. So I'll grant you that definitely was an aspect of it that I'm sure obviously they delved into more deeply than the original film possibly could have done, being a silent film. So yeah, agree, that was great. But yeah, I would say It's so funny. Bill Skarsgård obviously was unrecognizable. I read that he, lost tons of weight to do this role, and also like went to this opera teacher to get his voice to be really low and gravelly and all this stuff.
And the accent and everything. Yeah.
It was crazy.
Well, he was really good in It. I thought he gave such a great performance as Pennywise and everything. I think that kind of was his breakout, like really got a lot of attention. And reading up on that movie, they really had a lot of detail on how he became that character. So he really gets into his roles.
He does. And he's like, now, is this his like second or third like
monster
kind of monster villain sort of role that he's played? And I totally did not recognize. Kudos to Aaron Taylor Johnson, because you just think of him as this more kind of modern. I associate him more with all of his modern roles. So like I had no idea that was him until after the movie. So that was
I liked his kind of like pompous, like oh hello kind of rich attitude, and his story. I thought it kind of wrapped up a little quickly. He kind of just vanished from the plot, but I thought that kind of side story was really good. And I really enjoyed the plague and just the whole portrayal of all the crazy stuff going on.
Yes, and it was almost like they could easily blame the plague for all of these people getting sick and dying, but it's the count.
Right.
I liked that better, actually. Like I said, I found it to be so similar to Bram Stoker's adaptation that it was so, I don't know, it just seemed very similar. But like you guys mentioned about the connection with Ellen, and the Count, having that psychic connection, I liked that better, I think, than the Bram Stoker's version, because it was just the fact that, what's his name, went to see Count Dracula and he saw a picture and it was similar to his dead wife, and he became obsessed with Winona Ryder in that, and that's what drew him to get to meet her and know her, where I think that this was kind of a better storyline, a better beginning to it.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely, the whole fact that as opposed to the classic close of Dracula where it's all the men riding on the wagon trying to expose him beforehand, and then Mina Harker is absolved of her curse and everything else. This is a much darker, different ending, but also Lily Rose Depp's character is the one who saves the day, so to speak, too.
I would have thought that may have been a change for, like, I was expecting some sort of change, or it really, you do make, I like your point about how close and just, like, rigidly he stuck to the structure. I kind of thought that would have been a modern change, but I guess that's how the original ends as well. I've seen the original, I haven't made it all the way through.
No.
But I think I prefer that.
Yeah, I had the same thought that you had, Kim, when I went to read what the plot of the original movie was to differentiate it from the book. I was surprised as well. I thought for sure the way this film ended was going to be sort of a more Eggers modern take on the plot, and that's actually the way both films ended. So that was interesting.
I just wanted to comment on the immense sexual nature of this movie. Like, there's, like you mentioned, Lily Rose Depp's character writhing around, and the grunting and, like, sexual thrusting through the whole thing. And my 100% least favorite part of the entire thing is seeing Dracula's dong. I was like, was that necessary? Like, he was a beast. Like, I didn't need to see... I didn't need to see that. I felt like that was extremely unnecessary and a very uncomfortable moment, I guess, in the movie.
Well, I think actually when you guys were asking me of an example of camp, like, that is one of those moments that I almost wanted to laugh.
Laughed out loud.
I was like, okay.
What did you think, Kim? Were you surprised or just...
Oh yeah, no, I had read something about Bill Skarsgård having a prosthetic penis at some point, and so I was spoiled, so I was kind of expecting it. I wasn't sure what. It was actually a little, because it was so dark that I was like, oh, that's it? Because I was kind of expecting a little bit more, but I don't know, I guess if he's lying as a dead corpse in there, I guess it makes sense that he would be naked.
Yeah. But that was funny, and I actually read a funny anecdote this morning that Nicholas Hoult has that prosthetic penis, and he has it framed and took it as a souvenir of that production.
Oh man, I don't think I'd want that on display in my house.
No.
Dracula's hairy beast dong hanging from my wall. Too funny. But no, overall, I mean, I was, I guess, surprised at the sexual nature of it because he was in beast form and so disgusting to look at that it was very hard for me, like you mentioned, to take some of those like sexual scenes seriously. It was more like cringy and gross than anything, I thought, those particular scenes, even with that psychic connection.
Yeah, I will say another, and we can get into maybe talking about some of the production aspects of the film. I thought, one of the parts of the movie or scenes that really appealed to me was when Nicholas Holt's character first goes off into the wilderness to go to the Count, and those scenes of him walking down that dark road.
Oh, when the carriage shows up and everything?
When the carriage shows up and just the crossroads that he comes to, and there's like nothing there and then something there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought a lot of that was like really, really cool. So Cam, what can you tell us about just some of the things that you found interesting in terms of the production and effects and things like that?
Well, yeah, obviously all the sets and costumes are all pretty immaculate. Yeah, that scene in particular, I love when he kind of floats into the carriage and just how dreamlike, and there's a lot of like missing time, almost like alien abduction, kind of like he'll like something crazy will happen and then he'll just wake up. And I love that scene towards the beginning after he he sees that ritual that the locals do where they kill that vampire in the graveyard, and then he wakes up and he has mud on his boots, and I thought that was really cool.
Yep, and everyone's
and
gone.
then obviously, right, yep, there's just a lot of cool little things like that, and then obviously the makeup and everything was excellent. I loved his big handlebar mustache. Thought that was really funny. Oh, and I loved the kind of classic iconic shot of the carriage going up to the castle, and it's just this long winding road on a lonely mountain. I thought just looked really cool. And then obviously there was throwbacks to all the shadowy, like his shadowy hand going over the city, and like him turning the handle with the shadow and everything. All really, really cool and spooky.
Yeah, a couple of those shots that they recreated from the original movie that we've all seen on, just in little clips here and there, I thought was really cool. And that shot of the scene, that shot of the carriage driving up to the castle reminded me a lot. I think the shot in the 1932 Dracula is very similar to that.
Right. Yep.
If I remember correctly.
Definitely, I thought the scenes were great too. I really appreciated the uptick in horror scenes. Like it felt scarier. It felt a little spookier. It felt more unsettling, I feel like, than, and again, I keep going back to Bram Stoker's version because that's the last one I think I really saw. I also appreciated too when the ship crashes up on shore and the rats come out, and that's how the plague sort of gets brought to the shore. I thought that it was really cool that they had some scenes on the boat and everything too, almost like what was the other movie,
the Voyage of the Demeter?
Yeah, that you guys had seen that I didn't see. I thought that was good that they included that part in too.
Yeah, a little bit longer on the Demeter than you usually get in the adaptions.
Right.
And that scene where the lightning was flashing behind him and it was empty, and then he jumps at him. That was cool. You see his like gross figure in the background for a second.
Yeah, the ship, those ship scenes were very cool.
Yeah, there was only like one or two maybe jump scares kind of that were in it that were surprising. I thought they were well placed. I think they could have probably vamped up the horror a little bit more in the movie. I was looking for something I think a little bit scarier than it was, but again, still I liked it. Wasn't my favorite.
I think there was another scene too where Ellen, Lily Rose Depp's character, she does one of those sort of floaty alien abduction things too early in the film, and that was another pretty striking scene.
Yeah, a lot of stuff like demonic possession reminiscent kind of stuff, which obviously one of my favorite kind of tropes in horror, so I liked that aspect of it.
Yeah, there were definitely some call outs to different types of horror films that he sort of worked in here. But so all in all, I thought it was again very good. Very good. I won't, like I said, I think we're kind of on a sliding scale. I think, Jen, you kind of enjoyed it. I liked it a little bit more, and Cam, you really loved it.
Oh yeah, no, it was probably my personal favorite horror movie of last year. So, looking forward to seeing what he does next and whatever else is coming out in the next year or so.
Yeah, what else do we have coming up? Anything we're going to be watching?
Brave New World, Captain America, comes out next month. That's a definite. I saw the second trailer. It's one of those ones where the trailer looks very solid, and I don't have high expectations, but if it's sort of like, fills out the promise of the trailer, then I think it should be good and fine.
Cautiously optimistic, shall we say?
Optimistic. I know the Thunderbolts is coming after that.
That looks cute. That looks funny
really
and
good,
kind of quorky. I think
that
that'll
looks
be
good. I'm
entertaining.
excited for that.
Yeah.
And happy birthday, Florence Pugh. It's her birthday today. I read somewhere.
Oh, really? Well, happy birthday.
And the original person who was cast as Ellen Hutter in this movie, Anya Taylor-Joy, she and Miles Teller have an Apple TV movie coming out, which looks very interesting. I kind of feel, I can't remember the name. It's like The Abyss, I think it's called, or something like that, and it's about an abyss. And they're
Aptly
two
named.
characters.
Oh yeah, I saw the trailer for that. That looks interesting.
It looks interesting. I almost feel like it's one of those trailers that gives away the whole freaking movie in the trailer. And
it looked kind of like that. I only saw it briefly. I wasn't super paying attention to it. So, but it looked interesting.
But it looks like that setup. Maybe all of that is the setup, and that whole movie happens, after everything we saw. But it sure felt like they were giving way too much of the plot away in the trailer. But that looks really good. And at first, I thought it was going to be like a straight they almost described it as a straight survival movie, but it actually looks like it's a horror movie. So
yeah, it has some sort of horror element to it. I think that's Scott Derrickson who did.
It is Doctor Strange,
The Black Phone, and Doctor Strange, and all those.
Oh, I liked Black Phone. Are they coming out with another one? Did I see that somewhere?
I think so.
Is it this year maybe or next year?
It's probably this year.
I feel like everything's coming out this year. Stranger Things, finally.
Oh, God. Finally, Stranger Things.
Wednesday. That was another one that we liked that we
Yep.
were waiting for it to come back out for 2 years.
I know. For some reason, I thought that was they were already done, and we were going to get the second season before the end of 2024. But
they kind of teased something, I thought, in November.
Yeah.
And I thought it was strange they didn't try to push it out before Halloween. So it would be in time, obviously, for our spooky season, but it didn't come out at all.
It'll be interesting. But yeah, there's definitely, we're getting 3 Marvel movies this year, and I think some series. I've watched What If season 3, some of that. That's been.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
They're up and down. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence about those. Some of them have been really good, and some of them have just been kind of forgettable, if you ask me. But I watch them, so I'm working through those. I've been watching. Actually, been pleasantly surprised with Skeleton Crew, the new Star Wars show on Disney Plus. That's sort of kids Goonies. It's kid-oriented plot with Jude Law. It's actually been solid. Some of the episodes feel a little kind of goofy and overly simplistic, and then some of the episodes hit pretty well. But overall, I think that's been solid. I don't know where. I think episodes are still being released. I definitely haven't gotten all the way through it.
How about you, Cam? Anything up for you that you're excited about?
A couple horror movies. The Monkey, I think, is coming out in February. That looks really good. That's from the director of Longlegs. There was a couple other, I think, in between that. But nothing. I've been playing a lot of the Spider-Man video game on my computer, but nothing a whole lot in terms of series. So I have to watch The Penguin. That's one I want to.
Yeah.
Oh, and Creature
started it
Commandos
either.
is supposedly the first official new DCU property, which is it's like an adult animated action adventure kind of thing with James Gunn. I think was fairly heavily involved. That seems kind of interesting. I might watch that.
Yeah, I've heard good things. Everyone I know that's watched it has said it's great. I just haven't gotten around to it. And they are doing they are officially doing another Batman with Robert Pattinson. So that just
got pushed off though.
Oh,
the Superman trailer I thought was really good though. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, you did mention that. Yeah, I don't think I've seen the Superman trailer yet. So
I thought it was solid. There's definitely a lot going on in it. There's a a ton of characters. But until he disappoints me, I trust James Gunn. All right, sounds like that is a wrap on Nosferatu. I think we can all unequivocally say definitely it's worth your time. It's definitely a movie I think that's worth seeing in the theater. Performances are tremendous, and go see it and you'll enjoy it at least as much as we did, if not as much as Cam did. And thank you all for listening. Please check us out. Leave comments where comments are available, and please follow us and like us wherever you're finding our podcast. And we will see you again soon, most likely with Captain America: Brave New World.
Sounds good.
See you on the next one, guys.